The weak version of you must die. Not tomorrow, not next week, today. Because that version, the one that procrastinates, the one that hesitates, the one that breaks under pressure, has no place in the life you're building. That version doubts every move, folds under fear, and seeks comfort over growth. It hides from pain, it makes excuses, and it clings to a life that's far beneath your true potential. But you weren't built for mediocrity. You weren't born to play small. You are here to evolve, to rise, to dominate. You are here to become unshakable. And that transformation begins now. The Stoics didn't wait for life to be easy. They trained for life to be hard. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire while carrying the weight of death, war, and betrayal. Epictetus was beaten as a slave, but mastered his mind to become one of the greatest philosophers in history. Seneca faced exile, loss, and disgrace, yet still spoke of virtue, resilience, and power. They didn't ask for an easier life. They became stronger men. That's what you're here to do. You're here to bury weakness permanently. You're here to sharpen your discipline, to master your emotions, to claim your power. You don't get stronger by running from the fire. You get stronger by walking through it. In this video, we're going to walk you through 7 brutal but powerful shifts, 7 Stoic principles mixed with modern self-mastery that will help you kill that fragile, fearful, weak version of yourself and step fully into the man you were born to become. Each one is forged from ancient wisdom and hardened by real-world truth. No fluff, no fantasy, just raw, powerful transformation. But before we begin, if you're serious about rising above your old self, if you're ready to become the most dangerous, disciplined, grounded version of you, then like this video, drop a comment below that says, "I'm ready to rise," and subscribe right now. Because this channel isn't just content, it's war against weakness. It's fire for your soul. This is Stoicism reborn, and this is your turning point. Let's begin. Number 1. Recognize the enemy within. Epictetus once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." That weak version of you, that's not your circumstances. That's not your past. That's not your trauma. It's your excuses. It's the voice that tells you to hit snooze. The one that says, "I'll start tomorrow." The one that chooses comfort over growth. It's the internal whisper that convinces you mediocrity is acceptable. That small, quiet, seemingly harmless thought that says, it's okay to coast. But the Stoics knew better. They believed the first and most important battlefield isn't out there. It's in here. It's the war happening in your mind every single day. And until you win that war, nothing outside will ever change. Because every habit, every pattern, every self-imposed limitation you've ever lived under, it starts with thought. It starts with that invisible enemy inside you. The one that feeds off laziness. The one that masks fear as logic. The one that keeps you looped in cycles of inaction. This is where the Stoic path begins, with radical, uncomfortable, undeniable self-awareness. It begins when you stop pointing fingers outward and start pointing inward. That's what it means to recognize the enemy within. You start listening to your self-talk. You start noticing the mental patterns that sabotage your own potential. You catch yourself when you begin to complain. You correct your thinking when it leans toward weakness. You no longer negotiate with the part of you that's built for ease. You confront it. And in that confrontation, you begin to build control. And understand this. Control is everything. Not control over the external world, not control over other people, but control over you, over your impulses, over your reactions, over your emotions, over your energy. When you build this inner control, You stop living as a victim of your moods and start living as a master of your mind. And that's where real strength begins. That's where freedom begins. That's where transformation begins. Because once you can see the enemy, you can fight the enemy. Once you become aware of the weakness, you can kill it. So, the next time that voice tells you to quit, to relax, to postpone your growth, you'll know who's speaking. And you'll respond with the force of someone who's no longer asleep. You're awake now, and you're at war with the part of you that's been silently killing your potential. Recognize the enemy. Reclaim your power. Number 2, master your emotions, or be mastered by them. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." These words are a command, not a suggestion. Because the moment you forget this truth, you hand over your power to every passing wave of emotion. You become a servant to your anger, your fear, your anxiety. The weak version of you reacts to everything, gets triggered by small problems, overthinks every word, every look, every setback. That version lets the world pull its strings like a puppet, jerked around by every emotion that rises. But the strongest men and women throughout history, especially the Stoics, they learned to hold the reins. They didn't silence their emotions, but they didn't let emotions drive the car. Emotional mastery doesn't mean you feel nothing. It means you feel everything, but still choose your response. It means you stay calm under fire. You stay grounded when life is storming around you. Because reacting out of impulse is the weakness. Responding with intention, that's the strength. It starts with space. Space between stimulus and response. That space is where your power lives. Something happens. You pause. You don't lash out. You don't spiral. You breathe. You reflect. You ask yourself, what would my highest self do right now? What would the disciplined, powerful version of me choose? Then you act. Not from emotion, but from purpose. This is emotional self-discipline. It's not taught in schools, but it will determine your future. Because if you can't control your emotions, someone else will. If anger controls you, your enemies will win. If fear controls you, your dreams will die. If anxiety controls you, your peace will vanish. So, train your emotional muscles daily. Meditate, journal, reflect, breathe deeply when life tests you. Face discomfort with a clear head. And remember, every emotional storm is an opportunity to train your inner warrior, to prove that you are not a slave to your moods, but the master of your response. When the world tries to shake you, you stand like a mountain, unmoved. When others lose their heads, you keep yours. When panic spreads, you choose clarity. This is what the Stoics meant by strength. Not loud, not aggressive, but calm, focused, in full control. Because at the end of the day, the one who controls their emotions controls their future. The one who owns their inner world masters their outer world. So, kill the version of you that reacts and become the version that responds with reason, with calm, with power. Number 3, build discipline through daily rituals. Seneca said, "Throw me to the wolves and I will return leading the pack." That's not just a quote, it's a mindset, a declaration that your strength is forged in discomfort, in difficulty, in discipline. The weak version of you lives in reaction mode. It waits for motivation. It waits to feel like doing the hard things. But the strong version, the Stoic version, acts with intention, regardless of how it feels. Because true power doesn't come from fleeting motivation. It comes from discipline, from showing up every single day, especially when it's hard, especially when no one is watching. Discipline is built, not found. And the foundation is daily rituals, morning routines that prime your mind, training that forges your body, study that sharpens your philosophy, reflection that strengthens your soul. Start simple. Wake up before the world, not because it's trendy, but because silence is power. In those early hours, you set the tone. You take control before the chaos begins. Move your body, not to look good, but to feel powerful. To train your mind through physical resistance. Every rep is a vote for the stronger version of you. Every drop of sweat is a message. I am not who I used to be. Feed your mind. Read ancient wisdom. Journal your thoughts. Confront your weaknesses. Do the hard mental work. Because a strong body with a weak mind is a house built on sand. Your rituals don't have to be flashy. In fact, the best ones are simple. Cold showers that test your grit. Deep reading that challenges your worldview. Silence that reconnects you with clarity. These small acts, done consistently, become the armor you wear when life gets chaotic. The weak version of you relies on feelings. The strong version? It relies on systems. Discipline becomes your default mode. You stop negotiating with laziness. You stop waiting for the right time. You become the kind of person who does what needs to be done, regardless of circumstance. Because here's the truth. When pressure hits, you won't magically rise. You will default to your level of training. You will fall to the habits you've built in silence. So, train hard in silence. Sweat in private. Struggle when no one sees. That's where confidence is born. Make discipline part of who you are. Not a task on your to-do list, but a part of your identity. You don't try to be disciplined. You are disciplined. Every day, every choice, every ritual moves you further away from the weak version of yourself. And when life throws you to the wolves, you won't run. You'll walk out leading them. Because you've trained for it. You've earned it. You've become it. Number 4. Embrace voluntary discomfort. Seneca wrote, "Set aside a certain number of days, during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, saying to yourself the while, 'Is this the condition I feared?' That is not a suggestion. It is a challenge, a Stoic prescription to build inner strength by stripping away the illusion of necessity. The weak version of you avoids discomfort at all costs. It clings to convenience. It panics at the first sign of struggle. It has grown soft in a world obsessed with ease. But the strong you, the real you, chooses discomfort before it's forced upon you. The strong you understands that suffering, when chosen, becomes a crucible for growth. Voluntary discomfort is how the Stoics forged resilience. They didn't just preach philosophy, they lived it. They practiced poverty. They welcomed cold, hunger, and simplicity, not because they had to, but because they knew that facing voluntary hardship weakened fear itself. Sleep on the floor. Skip a meal. Walk instead of drive. Expose yourself to the raw elements. Feel the sting of cold water on your skin. When you voluntarily step into discomfort, you break the illusion that comfort is necessary. You learn that you are far more capable than your comforts have allowed you to believe. This practice trains you not just physically, but psychologically. It rewires your nervous system to stop associating pain with panic. It replaces fragility with fortitude. Because when you choose discomfort, your nervous system adapts, and suddenly the chaos of life becomes manageable. You're no longer shaken by minor inconveniences, by stress, by pressure. You've already trained in the fire. This isn't about self-punishment. It's about self-liberation. The modern world has taught you that comfort is happiness, but that's a lie. Comfort is a cage. It traps potential. It numbs your edge, and slowly, it rots your will. Discomfort, on the other hand, is a form of spiritual weightlifting. The more you carry, the stronger you become. Each difficult situation you embrace builds inner muscle, mental toughness, emotional durability, spiritual sharpness. You no longer fear being without. You no longer fear being tested, because you've been there. You've walked through the cold. You've gone without. And you survived. You endured. You thrived. Voluntary discomfort also gives you perspective. It cuts through the noise of entitlement. It reminds you of what truly matters. That strength isn't built in luxury. It's built in simplicity, in silence, in the harsh, beautiful clarity that comes from choosing the harder path. You want to kill the weak version of yourself? Then step willingly into challenge. Seek the cold, seek the hunger, seek the silence, and say to yourself, "Is this the condition I feared?" You'll find it never was. You'll find you're stronger than you imagined. So, embrace the hardship. Lean into discomfort. Use it as a tool to carve out the most powerful version of yourself. Because when you train like this, when you live like this, nothing can break you. The world will try. Life will test you. But you will rise. Not because you were born. Number 5. Cut. Weakness at the root. Marcus Aurelius said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." That is the mindset of a warrior. Not someone who avoids problems, but someone who transforms them into fuel. Weakness doesn't live in your failure. It lives in what you refuse to confront. And that confrontation starts with your attachments. You want to kill the weak version of yourself? Then you have to kill the roots that feed it. That means no more excuses, no more half-truths, no more blaming the past. Look at your life without filters. What habits keep you stagnant? What routines numb your edge? What people drain your energy, mock your ambition, or keep you comfortable in mediocrity? Audit everything, ruthlessly. This process isn't for the faint-hearted. It's not about cutting little pieces of weakness and hoping things get better. It's about uprooting the entire foundation that your weak self has built its home on. And yes, it will be painful, because your ego is attached to comfort. It's attached to who you used to be. That identity that says, "This is just the way I am." But that's not identity. That's imprisonment. Your habits are either reinforcing your strength or feeding your weakness. There is no neutral. Waking up late, scrolling endlessly, saying yes when you should say no, putting off the hard conversation, tolerating half-hearted effort, these are the invisible shackles you wear. And every time you accept them, you reinforce that weaker version of yourself, the version that's waiting for permission, waiting for clarity, waiting for the perfect moment. But there is no perfect moment. There is only the choice to raise your standards or stay where you are. So raise them. Set them higher than your feelings. Because feelings are fleeting, but standards shape your destiny. Do not wait until you feel like cutting the dead weight. Cut it now. Toxic relationships, lazy habits, poor diets, negative thoughts, they all must go. Not slowly. Not eventually. Now burn the bridge to your old self. Don't leave a way back, because if you do, on your worst day, you will return. You will crawl back into the comfort of mediocrity. Burn it down. Make quitting impossible. Make weakness unbearable. Turn your life into a system that rejects anything less than your highest potential. And yes, it will cost you. It will cost you people who don't understand your transformation. It will cost you the false comfort of routine. It will cost you ease. But what you gain in return is priceless. Self-respect, clarity, inner strength, freedom. You don't need a better opportunity. You need to become a better version of yourself. And that starts with brutal honesty. Evolution is not a gentle process. It requires blood, sweat, and fire. It begins when you stop negotiating with weakness, when you stop justifying mediocrity, when you stop settling for the old patterns that have kept you tame. Kill the root, and the weed dies with it. Kill the weakness at its source, and you'll never have to fight it again. Number 6. Live with memento mori in your bones. Memento mori. Remember, you must die. Not someday, not in the distant future, but eventually, and possibly sooner than you think. The Stoics didn't repeat this phrase to be morbid. They lived by it to sharpen their purpose, to ignite urgency, to destroy illusion. The weak version of you lives like life is endless, like time is renewable, like there's always a tomorrow. But there isn't. There's only now. Every moment you waste waiting, doubting, or indulging your fears, you trade life for nothing. The clock does not pause for your indecision. It keeps moving. And one day, that final second will strike. When it does, will you look back in pride or in regret? That's the real question. The weak self avoids it, distracts itself with noise, escapes into comfort. But the Stoic self, the warrior self, faces it, embraces it. You want to kill the weak version of yourself? Then remember that you are dying, not someday, every day. And with every day that passes, you either step closer to the man or woman you were meant to be, or you drift further into a life unlived. Memento mori is not about fearing death. It's about fearing a meaningless life. It's about the silent tragedy of wasted potential. Live urgently. That doesn't mean rushing. It means being deliberate. Wake up with purpose. Speak the truth. Do the hard thing now, not later. Love like it matters, because it does. Create like the world needs it, because it does. Train your body, sharpen your mind, nourish your soul, not for someday, but for today. Because today is the only thing guaranteed. Every breath you take is a gift, every second a spark. Let it fuel your actions. Use death as a motivator. Let it burn through your laziness, your fear, your hesitation. Let it strip away everything unworthy of your time. Would you scroll endlessly on your deathbed? Would you stay in toxic relationships if you knew tomorrow was your last day? Would you still tolerate your own excuses? Number you wouldn't. So don't. You don't need a near-death experience to start living. You just need to remember the truth. This life is temporary. That's what gives it power. That's what gives it beauty. That's what gives it meaning. Memento mori is not just a reminder. It's a command to rise, a command to act, a command to stop wasting time pretending you're immortal. The weak self will always wait. Wait for the perfect moment. Wait for clarity. Wait for permission. But the strong self, the Stoic self, knows there is no waiting in a life that matters. So, don't just remember death. Let it live in your bones. Let it whisper to you in the morning. Let it push you at night. Let it carve your priorities. Let it remind you. Every day you hesitate, that weak version of you survives. But every day you act with urgency, with presence, with fire, you kill it. And in its place, something greater is born. Number 7. Perform like your life depends on it. Seneca wrote, "Begin at once to live and count each separate day as a separate life." That's not poetry. That's a challenge, a call to arms, a wake-up slap to the part of you that's been sleepwalking through your own life. You don't need more hours in the day. You need more presence in the hour. You need intensity in your breath, precision in your choices, fire in your spirit. This life isn't a warm-up, it's the main event. And every time you hit snooze, scroll aimlessly, or procrastinate on your purpose, you throw away a performance you can never get back. The weak version of you coasts. It hides behind fear. It hopes things get easier. But nothing gets easier. You get stronger. And the only way to get stronger is to show up like your life depends on it. Because it does. You want to build something real? Then bring urgency to your actions. Bring intention to your work. Every day is an opportunity to leave a mark. Every task is a chance to sharpen your edge. Stop showing up distracted. Stop showing up half alive. Because the future you want, the power, the peace, the purpose, it's forged in how you perform today, not tomorrow, not when you feel like it. Today. The Stoics understood this. They lived with death on their shoulder and duty in their hands. There were no ordinary days, only opportunities to act with excellence. That's how you kill the weak self. You starve it of mediocrity. You suffocate it with commitment. You bury it under the weight of your consistency. Whatever your path is, own it. Be relentless. Be dangerous. Be disciplined. You're not here to dabble. You're not here to fit in. You're here to dominate your role, to fulfill your mission, to master your craft until your presence speaks louder than your words. Don't perform like someone who has time to waste. Perform like the clock is ticking, because it is. Perform like this is your last chance to show the world what you're made of, because in a way, it is. There are no second takes, no redo buttons, just this day, this moment, this breath. You want to be unshakable? You want to be legendary? Then earn it. Through action, through effort, through execution. Make every rep count. Make every word matter. Make every hour reflect your highest self. Because each morning, the weak version of you tries to wake up with you. It whispers comfort. It offers excuses. It begs you to slow down. But you silence it the only way that works, with action, with discipline. With a standard so high, weakness can't survive. This isn't about perfection. It's about presence, about going all in when most people hold back, about performing like your life depends on it, because the quality of your life does. The warrior version of you doesn't just wake up, it shows up, with focus, with fire, with force. So, today, don't just exist, performance, and make your performance impossible to ignore. You're not here to survive. You're here to dominate, to discipline your emotions, to elevate your standards, to kill the weak version of yourself, not once, but over and over until strength becomes your default. This is not motivation. This is war. A war against the soft habits that held you back. A war against the limiting beliefs that chained you to average. A war against the world's attempt to make you small. But you are not small. You are powerful. You are capable. You are becoming. Every choice you make either resurrects the weak you or reinforces the warrior. So ask yourself, what version of you are you feeding right now? Because if you've made it this far, something inside you is already shifting. You don't want comfort. You want conquest. You don't want ease. You want evolution. So now it's your move. Will you act? Will you rise? Or will you retreat? If this message hit you, hit that like button. Drop a comment on the part that spoke to you, and subscribe for more content that builds your mindset, sharpens your philosophy, and strengthens your spirit. This isn't just a channel, it's a movement. This is Stoicism reborn. And you? You're about to become unstoppable. Let's rise.